Hi, this is Earth Path Crystals and I'm White Fawn. Today I'm going to be talking to you about goldstone and copper. And I have some different examples here. Here's a real shiny piece for you. And this one has a beautiful green patina to it. And then this one is more of your brown patina. So goldstone, for those of you who don't know, is a glass that is man-made and it has copper oxide in it, and that's why we're talking about both today. Now, it's very rare for a copper to form into a rhombohedral crystal, and let me show you what a rhombohedral crystal looks like. This is a little piece of fluorite. This right here is the shape of the copper crystals inside the goldstone. So the cool thing is, because of the rhombohedral shape, this gives it the added qualities of ambition, achievement, and gratitude. Now, you'll find in everything that you read that goldstone is associated with air and copper is associated with water. But my personal feelings on this is that you really could use them for all 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Now, some of my other stones I have here today are things that have copper in them. So I have my little pile of turquoise right here. So turquoise is one of the things that has copper in it. And malachite, azurite. I got my little blueberry. I don't know if you can see that all right. Chrysocolla. Now, these will all form together too in what's called eyelet, which comes from Israel. And I would also recommend working with coral when you work with your copper, and that's because it will have a very feminine feeling and you'll feel a lot of that Venus energy. Now, moving back to the goldstone. Goldstone was made by a Venetian glassmaker originally. His name was Vincenzo Miati in the 17th century, and it was a well-kept trade secret on the island of Murano. He was the person that created the goldstone, and goldstone became the beginning of the words aventurescence. So when you look at a piece of goldstone, you'll see it has this sparkle to it. Now, that sparkle is what they call aventurescence. And if you look at a piece of aventurine, you'll see kind of those spanglies in there. Anything that has that glittery, sparkly effect is now called by gemologists aventurescence. Goldstone, because of its sparkliness, also has the added attribute of finding light in darkness. Some of the other traits that you have of copper and goldstone both is the divine feminine, as I previously stated with the coral, emotional release, energetic direction, so directing any kind of energy that you have, balancing your body, physical discomfort. It helps with combating lethargy, excitability. It helps with self-acceptance, stimulating optimism, diplomacy, and independence. Now, I have to discourage you as strongly as possible from making elixirs involving copper, involving chrysocolla, malachite, turquoise, any of your stones that contain copper. And the reason why I advise against this is because there is such a thing as copper poisoning. And I have concerns because some of the people I know that make elixirs, they boil their stones, they let their stones soak and soak and soak for months at a time, and you can leach too much copper into that water, and bad things can happen. The effects of this. So how you would know if you have copper poisoning is abdominal pain, diarrhea, vomiting, and jaundice, and eventually liver failure. So that's why I really caution you against that. Moving on to something a little bit more positive, let's talk about some color therapy. So if you're doing color magic, color therapy, copper is awesome for red. So people think of red, they think of copper. Both of these have the powers of life force, drive to success, movement. You can wear copper, and I'd also recommend malachite and copper together when you exercise. So it kind of keeps you upbeat, keeps you motivated, keeps you hitting those goals. And also it would be great for those same things, that same drive for success in the office setting. Now, in your home, you can use copper and goldstone to find contentedness where you are. So if you're having issues maybe with a new move, or because of the pandemic, perhaps you're somewhere where you weren't quite expecting to be right now, this can really help you relieve that emotional stress. I would recommend taking your goldstone or your copper with your chrysocolla and holding that at your heart and breathing in your prana and breathing out your apana. So you're breathing the positivity towards you and then just releasing that emotional tension. Let's talk about some other chakra work. So let's say we're doing some root chakra work. I would take turquoise and I would use that with my copper or goldstone, holding it lower towards the root chakra, and just imagine your chakras. So your root chakra is red, your sacral is orange, yellow for the solar, green for the heart, thymus if you like, the throat chakra blue, indigo for the third eye, violet or white for the crown. And then imagine this rainbow of color coming up, going around your chakras in both directions, creating a rainbow effect up your spine and opening your kundalini, balancing your chakras. Now you could use your goldstone or copper again with some emerald, and I just have some emerald tumbles. So take your emerald tumbles, take your goldstone or copper, put it in your pocket. And if you don't have a pocket, keep it in a purse. That's usually about sacral range, and you can use that with the intention of upping your charisma so that you could be more seductive to the man, woman, non-binary person that you want to attract in your life. And I can't help but stress more the importance of copper and relieving emotional stress as well, using your heart. And also with the chrysocolla, I want to just kind of discuss the thymus. So even the color of chrysocolla, very thymus connected. So breathing in, maybe even imagining that heart and thymus together, and then the release of all the stress. And having that breath in, direct it towards the heart, and then letting that shoulder action relax, those muscles relax, so the emotions that are negative, the emotions that are keeping you bound up, keeping your muscles tense, can just drain away. When we are going to grid with copper, it's super utilitarian. So you can use copper wire to wrap things together, make different objects. So you could wire wrap 4 crystal points together, all kinds of different things. So think of copper utilitarian wise, because it is such a energy director. Now you can use this also by itself, copper, to direct energy as well. So say for instance you want to direct energy down into the earth, you would take and you would have a point like this going down into the earth. If you want to direct it at your home, direct it at your home. If you want it directed outward, direct it outward, to the east, to the west, however you want to use it. This is why copper is used very commonly in wands, because it's very good for energy direction. I would recommend for anyone who wants to know career-wise to use copper for tarot reading, and any of your psychic workers out there should be using this. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, it amplifies thoughts. So when I'm reading tarot, I'll use copper. I'll hold on to it right before I do a reading to kind of open up that telepathic vibe, open myself up to what's going on with that other person, and letting their aura kind of come in so that I can connect better with their energy. It also heightens your natural abilities. So whichever type of psychic work you're doing, it's going to amplify your abilities and your talents. Keywords for you today: direction, balance, movement, relaxation. So it directs energy, super great at that. Balance, it balances your body, it balances your emotions. Movement, it makes you ambitious, gives you that drive to succeed. Relax, so again, back to the emotions, the restfulness. Again, let's go over those: direction, balance, movement, relaxation. Now, copper is very much connected to the divine feminine, and it is an amazing stone for all kinds of things. I think the best way to charge copper is to use the earth because of that. So you have that Mother Earth energy. Now, say for instance, you're in an apartment and you really don't have access to putting your stones somewhere safely on the ground, or even in a big city where you're kind of nervous about having them out where people might snatch them up. You could do things like using graveyard dirt. You could do things like using your house plants to connect your copper back to the earth. Now, I really want to advise you against cleaning your copper. So one of the things that I've found again and again and again is the use of lemon juice mixed with salt to scrub your copper, the use of ketchup. I've got to say, stay away from that. I do not advise that. And let me tell you why. Copper is native to Michigan, which is my home state. And so I know a lot about copper. I learned a lot about it in school. And I think it's really important that we work with stones and crystals and minerals and metals from the areas that we're at, because you really want to connect to the land that you're at. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart. Copper has this beautiful green patina, as you can see with this piece here. This patina is caused by oxidation. So what happens is the copper actually grabs onto oxygen atoms, not molecules, sorry, grabs onto oxygen atoms, and it creates copper oxide. Copper oxide creates a shield. It's like this protective armor around your stone, around this piece of metal, and it keeps it safe and protected from damage. So it's actually in a state when it's like this, where it is as safe as it's going to be, and you are going to want to keep it this way because that is the stone's own natural way of protecting itself. Instead of doing that, what I would recommend is taking salt, quartz crystal, white sage, rosemary, and pine needle. I'm going to say that again. Salt, rosemary, white sage, pine needle, and quartz. I wanted to double say it because I know it's a lot. Take that mixture, put it together, and put it in a plate or a bowl, and just lay your copper piece right on top of that. Now that's going to be all you need to do to cleanse it. So one more time, in case you want to write it down: salt, which I recommend sea salt, rosemary, white sage, pine needle, and quartz. So that's your combination, and I will probably bring that up again in the future for other stones and crystals too, because that's a really good cleansing mixture. Going back to the divine feminine and the earth and all the cool stuff about copper. Copper is also very much connected to Venus. You'll see this in alchemy. You'll see this just throughout the ages. It's connected to Aphrodite, Ishtar, and Astarte. Now, I would love to hear about any of your uses with your experiences using copper for the divine feminine. Also for any of the directions if you're using it for, earth, air, fire, or water. So please leave a comment below. Let me know how you're using copper in your household. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.